Dear viewers, welcome to Breaking the Law. I am your host, Estella Ategeka Felicity. The purpose of this show, Breaking the Law, is to break down the law and help you understand it better. We were here last week talking about the Constitution and constitutionalism. I will ask our guest to introduce himself again.
Hello everybody, my name is Michael Wing from Kaganzi and Company Advocates, and I hope we enjoy this journey together.
Okay, so Michael, we broke off last week talking about the Constituent Assembly.
Yes.
We talked about how it came into being.
Yeah.
And why it came into being. The why being to put in place the 1995 Constitution. So, what happened after we got the Constituent Assembly?
Well, after we got the Constituent Assembly, the members of the Constituent Assembly went about making consultations with the people in the various areas of Uganda and preparing the text of the Constitution. Now, after the text was completed, it was then submitted to the Constitutional Commission and finally promulgated for the non-legal members. That is, it was made into a law. So that one happened on the 8th of October of 1995. Lo and behold, we now have our Constitution.
The 1995 Constitution.
Yes.
So that means we ushered in Independence Day 1995 with a brand new Constitution.
Yeah, it's like Independence version 2.0, if you will.
That must have been a very interesting Independence Day celebration. Probably more meaningful. Even though you probably don't remember where you were or what you felt at that point in time. Having interacted with the 1995 Constitution, do you think that it gave people hope of better governance, better representation, better circumstances? Did it give people hope of the fact that we'll no longer have all these crazy regime changes that we had had in the past?
If you are to look at the various parts of the Constitution was designed to, first and foremost, reinforce the right of the people. Now, the Constitution stated clearly that all the power comes from the people, each and every individual that is a member of Uganda, and that any government was subject to the Constitution. But then before it even gave us that one, it pointed out that the Constitution is the supreme law of the land, meaning that every single other law has to either agree with what is in the Constitution or it will be equivalent to being executed by the Constitution or found void, almost like erasing it as if it never existed.
Okay, so that is for the laws that existed before then, the existing acts of Parliament before the Constitution. That was how they related to the Constitution. In other words, if a law was in conformity with the Constitution, if it agreed with what was in the Constitution, it would pass.
Yeah.
If it was contrary or against what was in the Constitution, we'd leave it behind.
Yes. And we're still doing that up to today.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So we have this Constitution, there is this hope, but we have talked about what happened in the past.
Yes, we have.
We had the Uganda crisis in 1966, where the 1962/63 Constitution was overrun by those events. You had the 1967 Constitution, the Pigeonhole Constitution, replace it.
Yeah.
But along the way, we have found that the 1967 Constitution also died away.
Yes.
And unfortunately, with every dying of the Constitution, there is a political crisis in the country.
Yes.
And we know for a fact that we have never, as an independent state, the state of Uganda, had a peaceful changeover of government.
No, we have not.
Is the 1995 Constitution in itself enough to guarantee that finally, one day, Uganda shall have a peaceful changeover of government?
No, it's not enough. The 1995 Constitution is, well, half of the story.
Okay.
You have to remember that the Constitution is supposed to reflect the will of the people. And as long as changes are made for certain individuals and it leaves the rest of the masses hanging, then even if we have a really good constitution, or had, the fact is the individuals that have the power to affect the constitution will always affect it. Could be for good, it could be for bad.
Who are these individuals who have the power to affect the constitution? Because you have told us, and it is written in the constitution, that power belongs to the people.
The individuals are the parliamentarians. Now, as part of the government, it is the duty of the parliament to make laws, and also...
Michael, before you go far, you're talking about government, you're talking about parliament.
Yeah.
I do not know if government and parliament are the same thing. How do government and parliament end up in this phrase together?
Now, when you look at Uganda, yeah, we have the will of the people. But in order to run the country, or the beast, or the person, let's call Uganda a person.
Okay.
If as a living person, you need to have certain functions that work together. It's the same thing with government. Now, this person, known as Uganda, in order to function, has 3 different organs, without which it would fail to operate. You have the executive, you have the legislature, the executive being the president, the ministers, and then you have the legislature, which is parliament, and you have the judiciary. Now, in the most ideal circumstance, the 3 are supposed to work together and they are supposed to have equal power.
In order to understand they are working together,
yes.
Can you briefly give a brief of what the function of each of those organs is?
Oh, gladly. So now you have government which runs the country. That is why you have the various ministers in various sectors. You have the Minister of Finance, you have the Minister of Trade. Yeah, that is the executive. Okay. Now, all these ministers are under the president of Uganda. He's like the brain. Actually, the executive, let's compare it to the brain of the human being known as Uganda. It makes the decisions. So now, in this brain is supposed to be run under cabinet. When you hear cabinet meetings, that is the executive functioning. Then you have parliament that makes the laws. Now, these laws have to go to the executive to be finally approved, but they help run the systems within the government.
Is that approval always necessary?
Well, not always. Now, sometimes when the government fails to pass a specific law a few times, then Parliament has the power to then pass the law. That is 3 times. Then you have the judiciary. The judiciary is equivalent to the conscience of government. Now, when Parliament makes a law that is not necessary, which is bad, okay, let's not be diplomatic, which is bad or against the Constitution, then the judiciary comes in to void that law.
By void, you mean?
Okay, it makes sure that the law stops applying. It has done this multiple times, as especially when the laws conflict with the Constitution.
Okay.
You had the issue with the requirements for divorce. You had the Public Order Management Act.
Yeah.
Then in case, again, government does the wrong thing, you can actually sue government. And then you can be compensated for whatever wrong the government has done.
But the judiciary is part of government.
Yeah, okay, that is the, yeah, it is. But as I said,
So
it's like the conscience of government.
So can I sue the judiciary?
No, no, you cannot. You can sue government as a whole through suing the Attorney General.
Okay. Okay, so we were talking about how these arms come together to exercise the power over people.
Yeah.
But our main discussion was whether the 1995 Constitution is actually enough. But we needed to understand these functions to see how to begin to measure how enough the Constitution is or has been. So you talked about the Constitution being one half of the story.
Yes.
What is the other half of the story? Because maybe that will help us understand whether the Constitution is enough or it is totally irrelevant.
I wouldn't say irrelevant. Now, the other half is the citizens of Uganda, both those in government and those out of government. Now, the Constitution is kind of like a mirror. We see ourselves in the Constitution.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. We'll take a short break right here, and when we return, we shall continue with this discussion.